There's a lot of people here, and especially in the Midwest, that at least those that kind of like it here, that I think really understand, really like where we're at here in the Midwest. And Midwest is obviously known for being a lot more conservative than either coast. And so I was just going to want to talk a little bit about the difference between liberal states and conservative states. Um, Liberal states, they're higher taxes. They have generally less freedom. I don't necessarily believe in Second Amendment rights, which is the right to protect yourself and all that. They put a lot more restrictions on guns and everything else that way. They're a lot harder to do business in, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of California people and California business people moving to states like Texas and places like that, which are a lot more conservative because they've got a lot more freedoms. The problem is those people, a lot of those people, not all of them, but a lot of those people that are moving from these very liberal states to these conservative states are not helping that state out, and they're trying to turn that freedom state, what I call a freedom state, because conservative states are a lot more, they're a lot more open, a lot more freedom, especially economic, all that, firearms, you got a lot more economic freedom, there's less regulations, everything that way. Trying to turn those states like that into the states that they just escaped from, that they're running from because they didn't like the policies. So they moved from these liberal states to these policies, with these policies that are killing businesses and killing jobs and everything that way, and then they turn around and try and fight for those same jobs in those states that they just moved to, and try and turn it right back into that exact same state that they just left from, which seems pretty idiotic to me, but regardless. I think that's the biggest concern with liberal states, as far as most people complain about, at least conservatives complain about, is from the liberal states, is because of that. The other thing, liberal states, liberals in general, really seem to be all about gun safety and gun control and all that. But the problem is they really don't have any room to talk, because the states with the most strict gun control laws are also the states with the highest gun violence in America. They're the states, Illinois, places like Chicago have some of the strictest gun laws in the country, Illinois, and they're some of the most dangerous cities. All these liberal cities have extremely harsh gun control laws that actually just make it easier for criminals, because there's less people that actually have rights and to own that gun, or actually say have rights, but they're denied the rights to own firearms to protect themselves. So it allows these criminals, it makes their job a lot easier, and doing whatever the hell they want, because they don't have anybody to stop them. Police forces are, many police forces are understaffed right now, because a lot of people don't want to become cops because of the bad name they're getting from a lot of these, again, liberal demonstrators, these liberal rioters. Because let's be honest, it's not conservatives that are out in the streets rioting when somebody gets killed at the hands of a cop. It's these liberals that are out there rioting. And I don't want to say that there's not some bad cops out there, but the problem is the majority of cops are very good people. The majority of cops are very, very good people. They're trying to do their job. They're trying to keep you and me and everybody else safe, and themselves as well, and their families, and they want to get back home to their families. They're not out there trying to hunt down black people or whoever. They're not trying to hunt down anybody. They're just trying to keep you safe. There are some bad cops, and I do agree those bad cops need to be punished. They need to be held accountable for their actions, and I believe they are in 99.9% of the cases. There's always going to be a few cases because of the way everything's going. But regardless, 99.9% of cops out there are very, very good people. And we're losing a lot of them because people don't want to take that chance. They don't want to, do their job and then have people coming after them for doing their job. Or whatever. So, you're actually hurting yourself and everybody else by doing these riots and looting and everything. So, again, these are all liberal states. These aren't conservative people these aren't conservatives or in conservative states that this is happening. The conservatives are the ones that are keeping everything peaceful. Yeah, I mean, you had the January 6th, whatever BS, but the vast majority were peaceful. And I'm pretty sure you'll find that the vast majority of conservatives, even the ones that, conservatives talking about that, are completely against those people going into the Capitol. That was a very, very small number that paled in comparison to all the riots from the 2020 to from the 2020 riots. I mean, there's all kinds of riots in 2020. And it paled in comparison to those, and yet that seems to be the only thing that they can talk about. They had one instance where you have a handful, and I don't even believe a lot of them were conservative. I believe a lot of them were paid off to do that. But regardless, that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to get into all that, because there's a lot of things that, a lot of these protesters were at these other riots that were, there's a lot of paid protesters out there. Regardless, I mean, you can argue all you want, but that's the truth. But regardless, there's nothing. It pales in comparison, not even close to what the riots, that the BLM riots and everything that, for 2020 and everything that way. It's ridiculous. These are liberal states. These are liberal politicians that are funding, that are not only funding it, but promoting it. I believe Kamala Harris has said, I think it was her anyway, that I know there's one of the Democrat politicians. They're all about the same. I can't keep track of who's who, but I know one of them said that, stay out in the streets, keep rioting and all that. You won't find a Republican or a conservative saying that, because they understand the impact that a peaceful protest can have. They understand that peaceful protests are good, but they don't understand that conservatives understand that you can't be violent about it. You have to follow the law. You have to do what you can, but you got to do it the right way. And it doesn't seem like liberals have that thought process, and it seems like their only goal is to get their way, and whatever means necessary, and they are not above violence to do that. So that's the problem I have with liberal states and liberal politicians. Obviously, not all people in the liberal states are bad people. Not all liberals are bad people, but I think you see the politicians. I think the majority of them are pretty bad people. Obviously, there's some bad, conservative politicians out there. I don't agree with everything and all the conservatives, but I think you see more from the left, and from the liberal politicians are a lot worse, from what I'm seeing, than a lot of the conservative politicians, as far as promoting violence, as far as not trying to actually fix anything, and just trying to control their and trying to increase their power and control the people. So that's my problem with it. I think a lot of people understand that actually look into it. We kind of have the same ideas I do on that.